This is one of our KeelEazy kits, and I'd like to show you how we install them, just to give you a bit more of an idea in case you've not done it before and you want a few tips. Just run through what we use. A heat gun to get the glue to tack properly and to stick. Obviously power. Pair of scissors so we can cut the ends off neatly. A good sharp Stanley knife. And a tape measure. There's either a static one or a floppy one. I tend to find a floppy one's a bit better just for measuring. I'll show you that in a minute. Pen, a cloth, and a good pair of leather gloves. Step one, preparation. This is probably the most important part of the process because KeelEazy won't stick to sand, grease, other kinds of gunk. Polyethylene boats, which is what I'm going to fit a keel strip to today. This is a North Shore Atlantic, lovely little boat. But it's been run up the beach a few times. You've got lots of these little polyethylene scuffs, bits of scarring, bits of old goop hanging off it. So the best way to start off with is to get your Stanley. This is an old rusty one, and just work your way along where the keel strip's going to go, just scraping off some of these bits of fur. Piece of cloth soaked in isopropyl, and we're just going to run along the area where the kit's going to go, just to get any greasy residue off. Stage 3, marking out. This is quite a critical stage, and I found a little technique that helps me to get the keel strip lined up perfectly central. Now on each of the boat there's normally lines defining the side here, each side, my finger is down here, and the same on the other side, that gives you real definite points that are going to be symmetrical. So if you can line up a floppy tape measure with one side and with the other side, and you can quite easily half the number, 39.5, and put yourself a little central mark down the middle there. When you've got yourself your central mark, knowing that the keel strip is 5 centimeters wide, measure 2.5 either side of that mark, and you've got yourself a couple of defining marks there where you can line the keel strip up. I'd do this maybe every 30 centimeters or 12 inches and along the boat, and that way you can get yourself a really nice set of reference points along the boat to work from. Once you get near the bow of the stern, you can probably judge by eye where the centre of it is. Down here and here. It's such a tight V that you're working from. There's really much better reference points rather than measuring. This has already got both ends that have had the corners rounded. And I always start with the bow. It just seems easier that way, because as we come down this end it's a little bit fiddlier getting it over the skeg box, but that's okay. It's always good to start as far up to the tip as we can. So we're going to peel the end off. This is a little bit tricky from time to time. This one I seem to have done it brilliantly. So I'm just going to pop this down in a reasonable place to start off with, starting up near the bow and then setting on roughly as we go. Peeling the blue paper off as we go. I'm lining up the middle of the tape with the middle lines that I've put down at the bow. There. Up a bit more, and now we can start to use these reference points to line up. I'm giving the tape a bit of a tug as we go along. So that's lined up there, lined up neatly there. Lined up so neatly there. You can see these reference points really make it a breeze to apply it in a nice straight line now. Keep the backing tape out of the way. There we go, another one. There. It's looking pretty straight. I'm just going to stop by the fin box and we can apply the first flat length because it gets a little bit more fiddly by the fin box. So let's leave this one back down here. The next phase is the heat gun. Plug it in, just check it works. I'm right-handed, so I use a right-handed glove. I'm going to work from the centre back towards the bow of the boat. So gentle heat. See, if I just leave the heat on, it probably starts to slowly melt the keel strip down onto the profile of the bow. But with a little bit of pressure, that makes it look a lot better. Once we start going around the curve, I've got a little technique that certainly helps deal with that. Apply a bit of heat, but pull at the same time. You'll notice the KeelEazy will just gradually bend itself around that profile. The edges pull in a bit. So I guess we're just kind of stretching the KeelEazy in the centre, shortening the edges on the outside, but that's beautifully bending itself round. I probably stretched the whole thing about a centimetre there. Checking it. I made sure I didn't put too much heat down here to dissolve the polypropylene rope off the pull toggle there. So now we're up the back end of the boat and I'm going to try and fit the keel strip over the fin box. Make sure that the skeg's fully retracted. It's all clean and tidy, so we're going to again remove the backing paper, give a little tug and line up with the marks that we've made earlier. Probably come just to the point where we get onto the back of the boat. So that's in position but not tacked down. Next phase, glove on again, heat gun out, and we're going to work from the centre back again. Applying a fair bit of pressure, keeping the gun maybe 10-15 centimetres away. We don't want to get it too close to melt the polyethylene. We're going to try and get this to stick on the edges. There we go. Applying the heat. A little tug, I'm pulling with my left hand, extra pressure to do the job. Right, we've got too much KeelEazy here, so we need to trim it off to about this point. I'll try and trim off straight to start off with. All we're trying to do is lose that sharp point around the edge off with a pair of scissors, just to get a nice... Well, there's the two rounded corners there. Edges here. With a little bit of heat and a bit of playing, pushing the KeelEazy down, you can end up with a smooth edge like that. If you find it's a really acute angle, almost 80-90 degrees, you're better off putting a little snip down the side of the KeelEazy, just down the side, and doing an overlap so that the front part of the KeelEazy overlaps over the back part. That way we'll end up with a nice smooth finish. And popping that over the top of the fold means the whole thing stays nice and flat. So we can see the profile of the fin box quite well defined underneath the keel strip here. We've got to expose this so that the skeg still comes out. Stanley knife, what we're going to do, you can either draw a line down and try and follow the line, or carefully give yourself a little bit of extra to start off with, but just cut a line down between the skeg and the inner profile of the skeg box. You can often run the edge of the blade along the inner profile like I'm doing now. It gives you a pretty straight line. So now that we've cut the two slits down the side, it's probably a wise idea to just cut off and expose what the fin box looks like, giving yourself maybe 4 or 5 centimeters of spare KeelEazy, because rather than cutting off tight, we can fold this back in again. Keel strip, I'll cut a little bit more off here. I'm going to push this profile down, and that keeps that one nice and tidy out of the way. Same kind of thing up this end. Let me just get some cleaning fluid, because this is quite important. You can see there's goop down there. So I've cleaned up the inside of the boat here. I'm just going to trim the corners off a little bit more round, because you tend to find that a sharp corner always has a greater chance of coming off. Now this should just slot back down in there. So that's hidden away. We'll get the heat gun on in a second, but that's a much better profile now, down and out of the way. And that'll go down there, nice and out of the way. Now it's a little bit of heat. Bingo! One keel strip fitted to a polyethylene sea kayak.